I don't even think I can be bothered introing this video, I'll be honest. Instant match reaction, Aston Villa 4, Everton 0 at Villa Park this afternoon. A truly abysmal, disgraceful, terrifying, petrifying, worrying performance by Sean Dyche's Everton once again today. We knew this was going to be a difficult game. We don't have a very good record against Aston Villa anyway, never mind away from home. And this is why I was so angry last week. This is why when everybody said last week, oh, but we created loads of chances and we were brilliant and we were unlucky and unfortunately you get games like today. That's why I wouldn't take any of it, and I couldn't be anything other than absolutely furious last week. Everton had 19 shots and lost the game 1-0. We had 4 or 5 massive opportunities and didn't score. And do you know why I was so frustrated last week? Because I knew we'd lose today. I knew it. We can sit here all we like and say, don't be negative, we can win these games. But bollocks, we don't win away from home. We don't win away from home, and we certainly don't win when we go 2-0 down in, whatever time it was, the opening half an hour, whenever it was. We do not come back from situations like that. And we knew that was going to be the case today. Villa are a really good side. They've got a great manager. They've done really well recently. And where they were a year ago compared to where they are now is night and day. I just want to bring your attention to something. This time last year, Everton had Frank Lampard and had struggled in their opening 2 games of the season. Aston Villa had Steven Gerrard and they struggled in their first few games of the season. Both sides were relatively in a similar position. Poor manager, poor teams, no real plan, no real sort of future under that manager. What did Aston Villa do? They were cutthroat, they weren't sentimental, they got rid of the manager, they went and brought one of the best in Europe. They had a brilliant rest of the season, finished in Europe, and now they look night and day to the team that they were. What did Everton do? Sat on our hands, pissed about, never made any changes, continued with the same manager until January when it was too late, sacked them, brought a new manager in who was hot and cold as well, made some awful, terrible decisions that he's continuing to make to this day. And we're in the same position now as we were 12 months ago. Whereas Aston Villa are night and day side to what they were 12 months ago. And that is, in a nutshell, Everton Football Club. And why there is so many problems at this football club and has been so many problems at this football club for years. Listen, I'm not saying I want Sean Dyche to be sacked. I'm not saying I think Sean Dyche should be sacked. But I'll be perfectly honest with you. If Sean Dyche was sacked tonight, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. I genuinely wouldn't care. And that's not me saying I think that's the right decision or I think he should be sacked. That's what Everton have taken me to now. I genuinely wouldn't care. His persistence to continue with Michael Keane is a decision that will get him sacked anyway, one way or another, whether you're his biggest fan, whether you love him, whether you think he should have time, whether you think it's not his fault and he's undeserving. One thing you simply cannot defend is he picks Michael Keane week in, week out, and week in, week out, Michael Keane makes defensive mistakes. He was at fault for the first goal today. He watched his man walk past him, and okay, James Garner might have let him go, but he stood and watched him walk into him. He was at fault for the third goal. Again, may as well have not been there. And the fourth goal, all right, Ashley Young with a terrible throw. Ashley Young was abysmal today as well. But Michael Keane could have been a bit more aware for it. And yet, the manager will still pick him next week because he likes him and they get along and they've got a good relationship. But this is the same manager that wouldn't pick him for the most important games of our season last season. The last 4 games of our season, the most important games, Michael Keane was taken out of this team because he was deemed not good enough. What's changed from then to now for him to now be deemed good enough? Absolutely nothing. And if Sean Dyche is sacked on the back of that decision, nobody can complain about it because it is a terrible, terrible decision. It's not all on the manager today. The players are dreadful. We've created this illusion within ourselves for far too long that Everton have got a decent, defence and Everton have got a decent midfield, and it's only the forward line that are letting us down. We only need a striker and we'll be all right. Our defence is a shambles, an absolute shambles. We've got a right back who isn't good enough. We've got 2 centre backs who can't work with each other, one of whom is absolutely terrible. We've got a left back who was ripped to bits again today and was atrocious. Our midfield, we've got 3 midfielders. Every one of them hide. Every single fucking one of them hide week in, week out. How many times did Amadou Onana touch the ball today? Less than 10. Abdoulaye Doucouré, Gana Gueye, Every one of them hide every fucking week. And yes, our attack is weak as piss. And yes, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has gone and got injured again today. And you know what? I feel sorry for Dominic Calvert-Lewin because he was booed when he was brought off. He's had an injury there that he couldn't, it was absolutely nothing he could do about it. He's had a collision with his face. His cheeks come out like that and his eyes closed over. Nothing he could do about it. But why are we booing Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Because he's gone off injured again. Is it frustrating? Yeah. Is it annoying? Yes, it is annoying. Of course it is. And I'm sure there's nobody on this planet more annoyed about this situation than Dominic Calvert-Lewin himself. The fact that week in, week out, he's picking up these injuries. But is it his fault? No, it's not his fault. Whose fault is it? Well, we are 6 weeks into a transfer window now, and Kevin Thelwell, Sean Dyche and the recruitment team have failed to bring in a centre-forward, and the one centre-forward they have brought in has travelled to the game today, is with the matchday squad, but isn't ready to be in the squad. Oh, he's going to be a slow burner. No, Sean, we can't afford to have slow burners. We've dropped 6 points in the first 2 weeks of the season after surviving off of just 2 points. We can't afford to have slow burners. Oh, we've got slow burners. Bollocks. He's a professional footballer. He's just had a pre-season with Sporting. Get him in the fucking squad. Get him on the bench at least. And if not, why haven't we gone out and bought a striker that isn't a slow burner, that's going to be able to be there every week? Nonsense excuses, week in, week out, nonsense excuses. And it leads Dominic Calvert-Lewin to be booed off the pitch. Why? Why does he deserve that? He's injured again, he's useless, this, that and the other. No, do you know who is useless? Kevin Thelwell and the recruitment team, because they haven't brought a replacement in after 2 years of knowing we need a replacement. Do you know who else is useless? The manager for making certain decisions. Do you know who else is useless? Our midfield for hiding in games, our defence for being terrible. Not the fella that's had to come off because his cheek is the size of a fucking watermelon and his eyes closed over. He's useless. Oh, but Kevin Thelwell, what's he cooking? He's cooking fucking nothing, mate. He's cooking nothing. Because we've needed a striker for a year. We're 6 weeks into the transfer window. The one striker we've brought in, slow burner. Do me a favour. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. We were abysmal today. It was embarrassing, and Villa are a good side, and it was always going to be a difficult game. And I'm not saying I expected Everton to turn up today and win, but that's up there with Watford 5-2 under Benitez. That's up there with Brighton 4-1. That's up there with some of the worst performances that I've ever seen an Everton team put in. Gutless, spineless, and after the first goal went in, they didn't seem interested. Couldn't be bothered getting into it. Players hiding, players, visibly walking around. Of course, we get our fair share of terrible luck because we always do. Calvert-Lewin goes off with an injury. Iwobi pulls his hamstring and goes off, or pulls up with his hamstring, whatever he's done, and goes off. But once again, we're left in a position where we've dropped 6 points. Now, losing today isn't the end of the world. Like I said, Villa are a good team. Good team, good at home. We never do well against Villa. It is what it is. But you all understand now why I was so visibly furious after the result last week against Fulham. Why I couldn't sit here and go, no, but there's positive signs. We had loads of shots on target. Because you're talking about it as if Everton are a team that are going to go and do that again the week after, have 19 shots. Oh, we'll win games if we do that every week. We're not going to do that every week. We're not going to have 19 shots on target every week. So we can't sit here and say, oh, but we lost 1-0, but next time we'll have the same amount and we'll win. That if we're Man City or we're Arsenal or we're Liverpool or we're a team that has them chances every week, then you go, yeah, it sounds, it is one of them, one-off game. We'll do that next week and we'll win. We're not that team. Because what's just happened a week later is we've just had, one shot on target and we've just been absolutely ripped to bits. So that's why we needed to be Fulham. We now go into a game against Wolves in August, a must win. And it is a must win. Whether you like it or not, it's a must win. Everton lose that game on Saturday, 3 defeats out of 3, 2 of them being at home against teams we should be beating, and the pressure piles on the manager. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not, whether you think that Dyche is to blame, whether you think that the board are to blame, the players are to blame, whether you think that he's the right man to take us forward. If Everton lose 3 games out of 3, 2 of them being at home against 2 poor teams, then the manager is under pressure. The manager is under pressure. And like I said before, I'm not saying he should be sacked. I'm not saying I want him to be sacked. I'm saying if I sat there today, later tonight, eating my tea and a notification come through that Sean Dyche had been sacked, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. And that is partly because of the decisions that he makes and some of the decisions that he's always made as Everton manager are baffling and don't make any sense. But part of it is because of what this football club have done to me over the last 3 years. I can't go through another one of them relegation fight battles for another 9 months. I can't do it. I simply can't do it. I think I said at some point last season, if you were to say to me, calm Everton, go down this season and have a decent season in the Championship and come back up, or you stay up, but next season you're terrible again and you're fighting relegation, I'd rather have gone down, because I can't do this shite every fucking week. I can't watch this shite every week. It's soul destroying. It's absolutely soul destroying. I just don't. I don't understand. I don't understand what the recruitment team watch every week to not think, right, okay, we are desperate here. Stop pissing about. £12 million bid for Chai. If you want Chai Adams, go and pay the money they want for him and bring him in. Stop pissing about with players. We are desperate, absolutely desperate. I say it again. I said it last week after Fulham. I'll say it again. If Everton haven't got a striker in by Saturday, it's an absolute disgrace. But what do we expect? Do I blame Sean Dyche fully? No, I don't. I don't blame Kevin Thelwell fully. Do you know what? Because where's their guidance? We've got a board that contains a chairman who is far past his sell-by date and should have been moved on a decade ago, an owner who is an absolute clown, hasn't got a clue and doesn't care, and 3 people who are there on a temporary basis and know that they won't be in a job longer than 6 months. So where's the guidance? Where's the plan? Where's the, who's Kevin Thelwell going to? Or, well, who do I go to for the fight? Well, I can't go to him because he hasn't got a clue, won't be there in 6 weeks. Well, I can't go to him because he's not involved and he's never there. The structure of this football club is an absolute disgrace, and as it stands, Everton will be relegated this season without a shadow of a doubt. The way we stop this is who are going to be our board members for the foreseeable future, because they need to be in before this transfer window closes. We need the signings and we need them ASAP. And the manager needs to have a long, hard look at himself in the mirror and think, if I want to stay in this job, if I want to stay at this football club, I need to put my relationships, put my friendships and put my stubbornness aside, and I need to make the right decisions for the football club. Now, we can sit here all we like and talk about how much we love Sean Dyche and how much he should have been kept in a job, X, Y and Z. Marco Silva lost his job because of stubbornness. Rafa Benitez lost his job because of stubbornness. Various other managers have gone by. Ronald Koeman, as much as people would have liked them at the time, they lost their job because of their stubborn decision-making. Roberto Martinez, people loved him. Our first season was great. He lost his job because he was stubborn and he would not make the changes needed. And Sean Dyche will be another one that happens to, without a shadow of a doubt. It isn't all on him. It isn't. Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting injured isn't Sean Dyche's fault. Our midfield being toothless and hiding in games isn't Sean Dyche's fault. But he doesn't help himself. He doesn't help himself by picking Michael Keane week in, week out. He doesn't. Who else have we got? Got Janet Branthwaite on the bench there. Played 30 odd times for the team that were playing in the Champions League last season. Won a cup for that team. They loved him. They wanted to keep him. Oh, but he's not experienced enough. Go out and buy a centre-half then. Are we actively pursuing a centre-half in the market? Doesn't look like it, because we're never linked with any. Barring Harry Maguire, which was never going to happen. It's terrifying. It's terrifying, and if we don't, and people can say, you're moaning, you're negative, we're only 2 games into the season. If we don't have these conversations now, then by the time we come to having these conversations, it will be too late. And to be honest, I fear that it's already too late. I do, because I just look at that team and I just think, where do our wins come from? Our forward will now be out for another however many weeks if he's fractured his eye or cheek or whatever it looks like it is. Our most creative player, who I thought was terrible today in Alex Iwobi, but our most creative player now may be out for weeks and weeks and weeks. We've brought a striker in who is a slow burner. So if we were Manchester City and we'd just won the treble, I'd go, sound, you can have a 19-year-old kid there that's a slow burner, no rush, no need for him, no pressure for him to come in. We need him there. Slow burner. Slow fucking burner. We've just survived by 2 points. £13 million on a slow burner. Doesn't make any sense in my head. Does not make any... One for the future. Well, sound. Bring him in after you've brought Che Adams in. Bring him in after you've brought a striker in that isn't a slow burner, that is going to be able to play week in, week out. Because Mopai isn't good enough. He's shown that before. Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't reliable enough. He's shown that before. I honestly don't know where we go. The goals were terrible. The goals to concede were terrible. The first goal, everybody standing and watching. Ashley Young gets absolutely done. James Garner leaves his man Michael Keane standing and watching. The easiest goal John McGinn will ever score. The second goal is the penalty. Again, I think there's minimal contact, but it's always getting given against Everton. The third goal, once again, players standing round and watching. Bailey runs in. Easiest goal he'd ever score. And the fourth goal, again, terrible by Ashley Young. Ashley Young was horrendous today. I just don't, I don't know where we go from here. I don't know how this gets resolved. And if we do stick by Sean Dyche, then he has got to make changes. He has. You can defend him to the hilt. You can defend him all you like. But if we're sitting in the bottom three in December and Michael Keane's still starting every week for Everton, I can guarantee you not one of you will be defending Sean Dyche and saying he should be Everton's manager. It is what it is. And I'm not saying, as I said, but I'm not saying I want him sacked, because I don't. I get all of the points of, well, what does it solve? Who do we bring in? It's not his fault that we defensively. I get all of it. I get all of it. And I'm not saying that sacking him would be the right decision. I'm not saying that bringing somebody in would change it instantly. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this football club have drained me that much that if it come out today he was leaving, I wouldn't care. And if I'm all honest, if it come out today that Everton were not going to play another single Premier League game this season and they were just done with it, I wouldn't care as well. And that's what we've gotten to at the moment. No leadership from the top of the football club all the way down to on the pitch. No structure from the top of the football club all the way down to on the pitch. No plan from the top of the football club all the way down onto the pitch. And when is that going to change? I honestly don't know. Yeah, there you go. If you've enjoyed, leave a like. Subscribe if you're new, if you want. I appreciate all the support. See you after.